Just to happen, stand on one side. You get a key, and if you don't, oh no.
Would you like to open this press conference, Joe? Serious? I know you've got a lot to say this morning. Would you like to welcome everyone for being here? I'll follow you. We're waiting on step off.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the official press conference for Joseph Parker's next bout, October 1st in Auckland. I'd like you all to have a look at the TV and announce his opponent.
Far more impressive when the music is loud.
Alright, so as you've seen, Alexander Dimitrenko, the giant, is Joseph's next opponent. 6'7". He is bigger than Anthony Joshua and has an enormous reach as well, 211 centimetres off the top of my head. And it is going to be a stern test, exactly the kind of test that we're after, to give you an idea of Dimitrenko's track record. He's 38-2. He has been touted for some time as a future world champion, and he is a guy who earlier this year was touted to be fighting Shannon Briggs on the undercard of David Hayes' fight on May 21. And Shannon Briggs pulled out of the fight because he saw him as too tough an opponent. This is certainly the biggest opponent Joseph is ever going to face, and it's also potentially one of his most toughest yet, but obviously a very, very good opportunity to fight a very, very big man with potentially a Anthony Joshua fight not too far away. And it is going to be fascinating to see just how that turns out. If I could ask Joseph just to say a few words about taking on this giant on October 1st.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you all again. I look forward to fighting this giant. Good practice for when we face champions like Anthony Joshua.
When you take on a guy this big, the previous guy you took on was a guy called Daniel Marks, and only lasted this one round. This is the guy who took on Puliev, and Puliev went 11 rounds with Puliev. He's currently ranked 6 on BoxRec, and you're ranked 8. So Puliev's a pretty tough fighter, and one of those guys that people try to avoid, and yet this guy went 11 rounds with him. So potentially this is going to be a lot of rounds, a big workout, and we'll really get to see how you go this time with a lot of rounds against a tough, big opponent.
I mean, when you look at the champions, you gotta nearly all of them are taller than I am, so we good to get some practice of a taller opponent. And I haven't really done much study on him, just focusing on Solomon, but now that we're going to announce, hopefully study him and see what his weaknesses and strengths are. Kevin will be a good piece of anything.
How's it different fighting a big guy? Like if you start Klitschko, there's no such thing as an easy Eastern European fighter. How is it sparring a big guy when you've got to get on the inside compared to going on the outside? like a guy against Solomon Hamona? No, you answer. How's it different?
Well, taller guys, it's much harder to, I mean, taller and he's got a longer reach, so you have to sort of work your way in there. I think once you clear come up with a game plan and what different sort of handle this.
Kevin, what is the game plan against taller guys? Because potentially this is exactly where Joseph's career is headed. To get to the top, you're going to consistently fight with guys much bigger than him.
Well, you know, before we talk about a game plan or anything like that, let's have a look at this guy, Alexander Dimitrenko. This is not just a big guy. This is a very, very good, a very skilled big guy. Dimitrenko, at the age of 18, was the world youth champion. This guy has huge pedigree. He's been boxing his whole life and being very successful with 2 losses and 40 fights. We know that Joe's had 20 fights now. He's had 40. The challenge for us is that our last 3 fights, Jason Bergman, Carlos Takam, Solomon Hamona, each of those 3 guys was 6'2". This guy's 6'7". Now 5 inches mightn't sound like a lot. In the boxing ring, 5 inches is a massive amount of height difference. He has a reach 1 inch longer than Anthony Joshua. He's a half an inch taller than Anthony Joshua. And once Joseph secured the fight to fight Anthony Joshua by beating Carlos Takam, we knew that we'd have to start preparing him to fight these big men. The Solomon Hamona fight happened because we had him under contract before the Takam fight. But now we have to focus that every fight we take now is a lead-up fight to fight Anthony Joshua. When you're fighting a guy who's 6'7" with a 83-inch reach, when you look at Joe's reach, it's 76 inches. And so, therefore, you know, for us, there's a lot of explosive movement of the feet. There's a lot of fast combinations to close that distance. But when you're closing that distance, it's very, very important that you don't get stuck in the middle ground, because if you do, then when you finish throwing your punches, you're still in his reach and he's going to come back and hit you. So it's going to be very, very important for us to focus this training camp on the distance between Joe and Dimitrenko, and that's something that we'll be working on and focusing on, because it's going to be very similar to when we fight Joshua. You know, if you stand there and you're in range of his right hand, you're going to get belted with it. So, you know, we looked at Dimitrenko. The 2 losses that he's had are to guys who both fought for the world title, both the guys who beat him. One of them, the fight was against Eddie Chambers. Eddie Chambers' very next fight, he fought Klitschko and went 12 rounds with Klitschko. So we know, look, we know this is a good test. You heard me say before the Takam fight that I thought it was a 12-round fight. I think this is a 12-round fight. I think Joe is going to have to outskill and outpunch and outscore this guy, because he's a big, durable guy. He's going to lean all over Joe. He's coming here to win. He's coming here to try and take Joe's #1 position off him. He sees this as his way of assuring a world title shot. So, you know, this is a fight that there is a good challenge for us and a good test, and one that we need to be taking at this stage. And let me just add one more thing. A lot of people have said to us, okay, you've got the world title shot now, why don't you just sit on the shelf and wait for it to happen? We're not just waiting to fight Anthony Joshua. When we fight Anthony Joshua, we want to beat Anthony Joshua. And the way we do that is by preparing in fights like this. Every fight, from now on in, there has to be a degree of risk. There has to be a challenge. Joe has to keep improving, because if we don't, we're not going to beat Joshua. And when we started this goal, a little over 3.5 years ago, we believed that we had the fighter that would take us to the heavyweight championship of the world. And I want that fighter has proven that he's good enough to fight for the title. I want him to prove that he's good enough to win it.
Just before you go, obviously, the 12-week training camp with Takam taught you a lot of things, and you have emphasised the fact that a shorter preparation time is much better for Joseph. This is again a short preparation camp. Could you just outline just what's likely to happen? I know Joseph's going on holiday very short. Just tell everyone where you see it, how it's going to work in the next 67 days.
Well, tomorrow, Joe was supposed to fly out with his parents this morning to Samoa. He's now flying tomorrow. So Joe's got 2 weeks off. He'll come back to Las Vegas and we'll start camp on the 7th of August. We'll do a 6-week training camp in Vegas. I'm already doing work now on sorting sparring partners, as I mentioned before. All the guys we're working with are going to be big guys. And some of the guys that I've reached out for are guys who you know the names of. Some of these guys have fought for the heavyweight championship of the world before. Some of them are young guys. So, you know, I plan on putting a very good camp together for this fight. You know, you've heard me say this before. Every single time we enter the ring now, this is our heavyweight title shot. Because if we don't get it right, and we don't get the W, then we lose that opportunity to fight Joshua. So we'll have 6 weeks in Vegas. 5 of those weeks will be sparring, all against tall men. I sort of, at the moment, I'm thinking probably around 90 rounds. Then we'll have 2 weeks back here in New Zealand before the fight.
All right, we did intend to have Alexander Dimitrenko here today. Now, his plane has been delayed due to poor weather coming out of Germany, so he will be in New Zealand. I don't know what time, so we're just going to leave it as it is. Potentially we'll do an informal press conference with him tomorrow. Joseph, I'm spoken to him yet about when he's flying out, but we just obviously need to get some publicity shots of those guys, which is a priority for us, for bringing him over here. So just if you can pencil in tomorrow that Dimitrenko will be here, maybe about the same time, 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. It won't be a stand-up like this, it'll be just a case of sitting down like we did last time. I am under the understanding that he speaks German and Russian, not too sure on the English at this stage. We'll know as soon as he arrives.